Hello and welcome to the Sports Star post-match analysis for the FIFA World Cup 2022, where we will be discussing everything that has happened on day one in Qatar for the biggest carnival of international football. The opening ceremony started the carnival, the festival, where 32 teams will play to become world champion. Unlike the kind of information that we got from our editor, Mr. Aashin Gupta, who is in Qatar covering the tournament, the aura around the stadium and the ambience gave us a very different vibe on screen. To discuss about the opening ceremony as well as the opening fixture where Qatar played Ecuador, I have with me Aashin Prasad and Aneesh and I am Neeladri Bhattacharjee, and we'll discuss about the tits and bits of everything that has happened on match day one. Before the footballing details begin, we'll talk about the carnival that happened. We saw BTS's Jungkook coming up and singing "Dreamers." What's your feeling about the kind of anthems that World Cup has had throughout?
I mean, like, if you take, if you're looking at only as an anthem, like, I found it to be surprising because that was the first time I heard it on TV, and it was a fairly good song. Personally, like, I like Waka Waka from the 2010 World Cup by Shakira. I'm personally not a big fan of opening ceremonies. So that's something which I want to like fast forward, but the song was okay, I guess. That's it.
The opening, he talked about Waka Waka. Waka Waka also made a guest appearance through the World Cup anthems in a form of a continual song before the World Cup anthem was unveiled in Al Bayt Stadium. And with me, I have Aneesh, who fancied the unique design of the mascot, the World Cup mascot. How do you feel about how different or how inclined to Arab culture do you think the mascot is?
The mascot when it first came out, I found it to be very sweet.
The Casper, the ghost.
Exactly, it gave me a Casper vibe, the Casper, the friendly ghost. And when they actually got the mascot of that life, actually not life size, bigger than that. So it was it was really a good part of the opening ceremony, I felt. And obviously, on a whole, I feel the opening ceremony was an apt way to start the World Cup, because I personally found it was really good, at least better than the ones of 2018. Personally, I found it better than 2018 World Cup. And coming to obviously Dreamers, for me personally, it's my favorite one since Waving Flag.
So there we have someone who has found solace in Dreamers as a new favorite after Waving Flag of 2010.
Without having to sound too old, I'm actually surprised that both of you know Casper the Ghost.
We can have the discussions on Casper sometime later. The stadiums in Qatar have had an inclination to reflect the Arab culture, since this is the first World Cup to happen in an Arab country. We saw people marching in traditional Arab clothes during the opening ceremony, which reflected the importance that Qatar gives to indigenous kind of the Arab culture that it has imbibed throughout the tournament. After the opening ceremony, I would like to pull you all into the Ecuador versus Qatar game. We had action right away in the third minute. Something happened. Can you tell us the reaction surprised you or the goal?
I was actually surprised by the pace in which the game started. Like, it was both teams were like flying into tackles, and especially Ecuador, they really wanted to like stamp their authority, considering they are the favorite in this fixture, and you could see the difference between both the sides there, like in the first few minutes. And I wasn't really surprised when they took the lead, and like their strength and power, like showed in that first disallowed goal as well. There was a lot of like controversy, not I wouldn't say controversy, but like a lot of confusion initially, like as to like why that goal was disallowed, but like. by rule of law, that was a correctly disallowed goal.
So we have an entire explainer on this particular incident in the 3rd minute where Valencia's goal was disallowed. You can go ahead and read the explainer on our website.
I think you should still
And
explain it
and
to the viewers.
I'll kind of explain what essentially happened. Is the goalkeeper of Qatar stepped up and there was one defender of the host team who was behind him, and since the goalkeeper came ahead, he left his position as the last opponent defender of the team. So after that, if an opponent crosses the goalkeeper, which essentially the jersey number 11 of Ecuador did, he steps into an offside position. And that is something which amused me with the speed with which the decision was taken, because VAR rulings we have seen taking a lot of time, that the referee going to the screen and checking if there's an offside or a penalty decision. None of that happened. We saw a clear wall created with animation, something that Aashin Wenger stressed about before the tournament, that journalists and media professionals will be guided with animation to clarify refereeing decisions, and something similar to that happened. We saw a clear wall created along the line of the goalkeeper, the Qatar goalkeeper, and we saw the feet of the Ecuadorian defender outside that line, which indicated that he was offside. That clarified, so there was no confusion, and SAOT is the semi-automatic offside technology that aided the VAR officials to have it in a much quicker time.
No, actually I think what Aashin said, he was surprised at the pace of the game. That is exactly what happened. It's because it's not that this hasn't happened before. We have seen similar instances. Just that no one was expecting the World Cup, the first goal of the World Cup, to be so confusing. So even if we actually saw this earlier, we just became disoriented for a couple of minutes.
5 to 6 minutes, like trying to figure out like what
exactly happened. Talking of firsts, Ecuador soon scored again, and it scored with a spot kick. It was the first time that our FIFA World Cup saw an opening goal coming from the spot, from the penalty kick. And Ener Valencia has already been a kind of a legend for Ecuadorian football, and he became and he went on to score another goal, and that was another headed attempt, because the third goal, which was denied, was also a headed attempt. Something that Ener Valencia has been very particular about, set pieces. Tell me, how did you assess the set pieces strategy of Ecuador in the match?
So if you looking at the game, both the goals, the penalty was a set piece, but like how the goals came about, they weren't set pieces. It was in a break of play. Like Qatar obviously wanted to play with the ball, but what Ecuador in the first half, at least what they were doing really well, were like breaking down Qatar in the midfield, and winning position higher up the pitch and like breaking fast. I think the first goal came about from the on the right side, where Caicedo broke a play, immediately found a pass through the line, and then he played the ball to Valencia. And Qatar's goalkeeper was really nervous.
Because we have actually seen goalkeepers bringing down forwards before, but the way he brought up, it was almost like an extended hand, and it was very not something you see very often. So of course the nervousness was there.
Yeah, that's what because the first time they're playing in a World Cup, and you could see the difference in class. Qatar started really slow, and you could see the difference from the first half to the second half.
Correct,
talking about that, the goalkeeper was nervous with the disallowed goal and with the penalty error. And even with the second goal, they broke down the play by the half line, and then Caicedo again broke forward this time, and they got in the cross this time. And a lot of what had to do with this game was the pace and power with which they dominated Qatar in the first game. But if you look at the stats overall, there wasn't much of a difference.
Ecuador obviously dominated Qatar in phases of play, but Qatar had, talking about chances, they had a good chance to grab a goal right at the end of the first half. But Almoez Ali but he could not get a good contact. And talking about how Ecuador played, I think Caicedo, what he did very well was not only did he break the play in the midfield, we also have to give credit to the fullbacks, especially Estupinan. After the play was broken, they were making very good runs on the overlap and the underlap, which was actually disorienting Qatar, because obviously the players who are playing in Qatar, as a country, they are playing at such a high stage, and the standard is so high. So it was tough for them to deal with, but it was not that Ecuador completely dominated and the match. Qatar had their chances but could not.
Ecuador finally comfortably beat with two first half goals. It comfortably beat Qatar, and Qatar became the first host nation to lose its opening match in the FIFA World Cup.
And I think their fans also quickly made their way to exit.
Yeah, their
in the
fans
second half.
apparently were making their way out of the stadium as well. They saw some chances but could not see the ball enter the net of Ecuador. For Ecuador, it was another contrasting fate given the kind of flow of events that have happened before the World Cup, because there was the Byron Castillo case where it was under threat of almost getting kicked out of the tournament. After the CAS ruling, though Castillo was excluded from the squad, this will definitely be a silver lining for the squad to go ahead in the World Cup. That brings us to an end of the match day 1, and tomorrow we'll be having 3 very important games. We'll have Senegal versus Netherlands, we'll have USA versus Iran, and we'll have England versus Iran, and we'll have USA versus Wales. So 2 Group B games and 1 Group A fixture. What are you expecting, Aashin,
England
in this here?
Yeah, obviously, like I would want England to start off on the positive note, but considering like how their form hasn't been so good in the lead up, and with some injury concerns, form concerns of some few players, added to the fact that they'll be starting with an afternoon kickoff, like they are gonna be finding it really hard, I feel. But again, we never know like how the cooling system is gonna work, whether they might find it a bit easy. But like again, afternoon sun not going to be easy, so having that is something which they will have to.
Yeah, this might be a challenge for players, because this is the first time that an afternoon game will happen in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Because this was a 9:30 p.m. kickoff IST, and this will be an afternoon time kickoff. The next 2 matches are also in comfortable times, but 3:30 will be a tough challenge for Gareth Southgate. And given it will be interesting to see if Harry Kane can score and surpass Wayne Rooney's
2 more goals. But Iran is a very dogged team, like very difficult to break down, and conditions also might like suit them.
Exactly. What I was going to say is that England is not playing another European team. Iran definitely more used to England in this weather. But just coming to obviously it's not possible to exactly predict, but how do you think Southgate will go with his lineup tomorrow? Because he's got a lot of squad depth.
So he has tried 4-3-3 in the past, but his preferred formation is a 3-4-3, which he will want to start with and continue using in the tournament, so that like in the possibility of them progressing, that fluidity is something which they want. So yeah, the 3-4-3 is what I'm expecting, but it also depends on the defenders who are fit. Like if Kyle Walker needs to be fit, I think personally, like if he's fit, then they might do that, or they might, since it's Iran where they need to be stronger and more attacking, they might go for a 4-man defense.
Talking of attacking, I'll be looking forward to James Maddison if at all making to the bench, because he has been on and off with practice sessions.
All the squad will be available, but like I don't think he will start.
Aneesh, your takes on the Netherlands Senegal game. How do you see Van Gaal going ahead with the Dutch?
I mean, before Netherlands, I'd like to say that Senegal, Netherlands already have a sort of advantage in the sense Senegal must have, no matter what they say, they must have been very demoralized, just losing Sadio Mane so close to the tournament. So that factor will obviously play to the advantage of the Netherlands team. But coming to Van Gaal, we have seen him he stick to his philosophy. I mean, his football may not be that pragmatic, but you know, when it comes to his plan, he is very strict. And obviously, Netherlands, they have a good team. I mean, if you talk about their defense, they have strong defenders in Van Dijk and Ake. But you know, I feel Depay again. If you just talk
No,
about
Depay is also missing for Netherlands in the first game.
yeah, okay, so Depay is missing for Netherlands in the first match. So again, I just feel that, you know, if Netherlands had their whole team, a big factor for Netherlands, I feel, will be Frankie de Jong, because despite his club form, Frankie de Jong usually turns up for his national side. So I feel the midfield will be a big position. He can actually be that pivot who and initiate play. We can break play and also push, create play in that sense, which Senegal need to deal with. So, I don't think there's a clear cut winner here. I mean, Senegal, even without Mane, I don't think they'll be pushovers because they won the African Cup of Nations, and you know, one player cannot win your tournament.
Well, talking about Mane would be a key absent player in the tournament. Benzema was ruled out on the eve of the World Cup. Coming to the third game, there will be USA versus Wales. We will apparently be lucky enough to see Gareth Bale play for Wales as Wales returns to the tournament for the first time since Jimmy Murphy led the squad to the biggest stage of international football. And we'll
66,
see,
64 years.
64 years, and we'll see USA returning to the World Cup after missing in 2018. So both the teams will have a point to prove. You'll have Christian Pulisic, who has struggled with consistency under Graham Potter in Chelsea, and we'll have Gareth Bale, who has been left out under Ancelotti and has chosen a different path and has gone on to win in MLS recently, scoring with Los Angeles. So we'll have very exciting contests on day 2 for the FIFA World Cup, and related to the World Cup, we'll continue bringing in live blogs, related stories, podcasts and videos, and we'll keep you updated as the World Cup happens.